Audio mic check, audio test stream. Mic check, mic check. Well, welcome back to a rainy weekend here at Monza. I'm Pirate Laserbeam, here to do the commentary stream for the Grand Prix race here at Monza for the 1923 League with classic vintage racers. Pleased to be here once again following last month's race at Stidges, and we'll be covering the 2.5 hours of racing here at Monza today, so looking forward to it. Looks like a very good grid for today's racing, and really excited to see how the drivers approach the track today. Quite a different track to some of the circuits that we've done before. Obviously Stidges was an oval shaped track, and before that Tours was a very different track indeed, kind of dirt track with long straights and tight corners, whereas Monza in its current configuration is a very different beast altogether. So looking forward to the racing today. Should be some good battles out there on the track, and I will take you through a little bit of the updates on where we are with the league thus far. As you can see, there's 20 seconds left on the practice session. Qualifying's already happened, and we'll be getting into the racing very soon indeed. So as you can see, a little bit of rain out there on the track today. The weather forecast for today's race at Monza is cloudy as expected. The probability of rain is about 50-50. Practice session seems to have had a bit of rain already. Shouldn't be any heavy pouring, just maybe kind of light drizzle. But given we are in game towards the end of October, the temperatures aren't too high, about 70 degrees at the highest, and the wind is about steady with 4 meters per second from the west. Unlike the previous rounds, we have a slightly different starting configuration for today's race. And we'll be doing a standing start, unlike the rolling starts we've been doing before. And as you can see, the pit boxes on the left-hand side of your screen right now are on the opposite side of the track to the starting grid, which is on the far right. And you'll see that actually it's quite a narrow starting grid. So a lot of these cars will be quite close together, about 20 cars out there on the grid. And they'll be in quite close proximity. So the recommendation has been that drivers are very careful on the initial lap, and they spread out carefully and don't try and cause any early collisions in the race, which hopefully we won't see, as that would be a shame to have so much damage early on. So following last round at Stidges, we had 3 drivers who didn't finish the race, which were L. Fontaine, H. Pekkanen and Kai Sivertsen. All received DNF. Kai Sivertsen unfortunately has a DNF in every round thus far, and we saw a little bit of the financial situation for some drivers being impacted on the last race, and I think with the DNFs that we saw may play a role in some of the financial changes which have happened since last round as well. Only one penalty for drivers last round, which was P. von Rosen, who received 5,000 credits for a 50-kilometre-hour crash with the environment. So less damage in terms of repair bills from this last round compared to Tours. But Monza is well known as one of the fastest tracks. It was, however, very tricky in the 20s, as it's really bumpy, especially in the banking, and has a few really heavy braking spots, which will be a challenge for the brakes on these cars, given their fragility. The edge of the tarmac is pretty high, so dipping the tyre off the track will likely cause a spin. And when the tyres are worn, the bankings are really difficult, so some spins are anticipated, and hopefully that won't result in too significant amount of damage. The 24 Delage and Vossan are probably going to make it without pit stops today, which might give them an advantage, if any, on the tyres, if they survive. But it's possible to be able to finish the race without changing tyres. But it's a gamble, and given the risk on the banking corners, it may be something which the drivers need to carefully consider. And with the weather and a few drops of rain, it might be that there's a bit of an impact from the weather on the racing today, but we'll see how that goes. Changing tyres takes about 1.5 minutes, so it's possible, but definitely will have an impact on any kind of advantage the drivers have built up. And certainly will have an impact if you're trying to catch up and you have an unscheduled pit stop. I think the standing start might have been based on a ballot, based on the briefing I've been provided. It says it was very unfortunate for the top league drivers like Nurmi and Heitinen So we'll have to see how that goes. But drivers to keep an eye on today will be the Alfa Romeos. They're a clear favourite for the podium here today. But the latest Fiats and Sunbeams, given we have new cars being introduced as time has marched on. But they're, the Fiats and Sunbeams are also very good. So the Alphas may be at risk if they have any misfortunes. So there are 9 Alphas on the grid, so there's quite tight battles to be expected, which should make some interesting racing. Nurmi, Peltonen, Tolinen and Von Rosen, Uatila, Heitinen and Lindholm have all taken the Alphas. And if there's no unexpected issues, they might be in a really strong spot for the podium. But the starting grid will be as follows. We've got in the number 1 spot M. Cosi, followed by M. Peltonen, will be starting side by side. We've got Lippi in 3rd place, L. Fontaine in 4th, T. Kusler in 5th place, B. Tolinen in 6th place. We've got T. Lumbereski in 7th, Kayla Fredge in 8th place, J.C. Lemur in 9th, K. Seversten in 10th, and then B. Korkayowski is in 11th place, R. Lazaro in 12th, Yvonne Rosen in 13th, H. Smith in 14th, that's Haley Smith, J. Alvaro is in 15th, Z. Darling in 16th, J. Lindholm in 17th, A. Henry in 18th, Morillette in 19th, K. Utila in 20th, he's one of the favourites for the race, you can see him starting quite far back there. In 21st place we have A. Heitinen, and then M. Pereira, FJQ Magias, and then Nurmi is in very dead last in 24th, so lots of work for Nurmi there, but I think with the starting positions and the tightness of the grid, it might be possible for them to make up early positions as long as they can do it safely. Overall, Nurmi leads the championship right now with 86 points. In 1st place, we've got Anssi Heisnin in P2 with 1 point deficit to Nurmi. Alex Henry's in 3rd place with 74 points. Marcus Peltonen in 4th with 71 points. Johnny Lindholm in 5th place with 69 points. Haley Smith is in 6th place with 66 points. Riley Lazaro, 7th place, 63 points. Kari Uatila in wasn't expecting that horn. Kari Uatila in 8th place with 62 points. Paul Van Rosen, 9th place, 61 points. Joint for 10th is Mosse Pereira and Isa Mikola on 60 points. And then Federico Juan Quintero Magias is in 12th with 58 points, joint with Visa Tolinen. Lippi's in 14th and 54, joint with Teofil Luberuski. Zan Darling is 16th with 53 points. Vila Korkayowski, 17th in the league at the moment with 52 points. Henrik Pekkanen, 18th place, 34 points. Christian Dogger in 19th place with 26 points. Lumbargo, 20th place, 21 points, joint with JC Lemur. 22nd place, Marco Cossi on 16 points. Lancelot Fontaine is in 23rd with 13 points. And Vukovic Christian is in 24th place with 11 points. So engines are ticking over, as you can see. We'll be getting away shortly. Some very enthusiastic use of the honking devices today. So here we go, here come the lights. Lights are up, engines are revving. And away we go. Drivers are getting off to a good start there. You can see how close the grid is at the moment. There's cars almost 4 wide now, as the faster cars with better acceleration seem to be getting off the line and heading down to the first corner. Bit of a grouping up happening here. They're going to have to be careful going into that first corner. We don't want to see a big pile up happening here if we can avoid it. So some of the cars too wide into the first corner. So far so good on the contact front. M. Peltonen out in front at the moment with M. Kossi and V. Tolonen following behind. Thus far, no major incidents. And the drivers have done a great job of getting out and underway without causing any drama. So some of the braking zones. See if I get a different camera angle. There we go. Some of the cars off the track there. Gonna have to be careful with those. Here's Ray Lazaro in the number 12, being followed by Lafredge and Haley Smith. Uatilla in the mixer as well, along with Henry. And it looks like Henry and Heitinen are in a bit of a 4-way battle at the moment as they come under the bridge down to the left-hander. You can see them jostling for position here as they try and ease their way through. Looks like Uatilla there making some early moves as they take the inside line. But Ray Lazaro there just catching a little bit of grass. We did hear in the briefing notes that getting off the tarmac can be a little bit risky. As they come round the sweeping right-hander, it's Heitinen tucking in on the inside, trying to get round the inside of Lafredge. And now onto the inside track, just past the pit lane there. We'll be coming up to the first of the high-speed banked corners. Let's go to M. Peltonen, who takes the lead through the first of the banked corners. In a bit of a class of their own at the moment, as they lead by 4 seconds already in the first lap. V. Tolonen in the number 16 takes second place at the moment, followed closely by M. Kossi and J. Lindholm. Lindholm making the move on the inside as they sweep on past M. Kossi with a burst of speed coming out of the first of the banked corners. They'll be heading now down to the second of the banked corners. And you can see at the top there, a bit of a wiggle there from V. Tolonen. From their point of view here, riding the top of that curve, you can see if they hit that top barrier, it's going to be very much game over. Not quite as bad as Stidges though, where there was no barrier at the top whatsoever. But onto the main straight now as they come back down to finish the first lap of 40 here at Monza. Nurmi and Lazaro in 11th and 12th place consecutively, having a little bit of a battle there, bit of an overtake. As the drivers now finish their first lap. You see here Kusler and Lippi switching places as Heitinen looks to make a little move down the inside here. Heitinen in the number 2 white car splits the 2 red cars as they go down to the first of the right-handers, which I believe is Curva Grande. You can see Heitinen closing in right behind. Let's go side by side with Lippi, and has the right hand side, as you can see ahead, Uatilla and Kossi going toe to toe. Heitinen gets the inside line for the braking zone. And Heitinen comes out on top there, a bit of a better acceleration on his car. And seems to be leaving Lippi a little bit further behind. 1 second splits the two of them now. Kusler and Nurmi though, switching places as Nurmi gets through under the bridge. M. Pelton though already opening up a significant gap out in the front. 6.4 seconds and only on the second lap. Heitinen now coming back with a burst of speed as they come up towards Kossi. Takes the inside line through the right-hander. Kossi almost making contact with the wall there, I believe. And from Kossi's point of view, you can see Heitinen's wheels just appearing on the right-hand side. Kossi dropping in behind to get the slipstream as they come past the pit stops one more time. And they'll be coming up to the first of the banked corners again. I think at this stage of the race where fuel is heavy and tyres are fresh, they shouldn't have too much of an issue in these banked corners. But as they get further into this race, this may become an ever more precarious event. Korkowski takes the overtake opportunity as they come on the lower side of the banked corner, trying to get past Lippi. They'll probably get ahead in the corner, but I think Lippi's going to have the exit speed as they exit out of the banked corner. Being that far down will mean that Lippi's able to carry a little bit more momentum, whereas Korkowski will probably lose out here on the exit. And there you go, Lippi starting to break away a little bit there with that momentum. But Korkowski can drop in now in the number 28 and get into the slipstream, but still 0.5 of a second gap separating those two as they head down to the second of the back corners. Back to Kossi. 0.4 splitting themselves and Lippi at the moment. It looks like Lippi's on track here, slowly gaining. And takes the opportunity to throw it down the inside as they get a bit of overspeed. And you can see they're now side by side coming down the main straight as they head down to the first corner. Darling in the pit lane. Kossi definitely losing out there to Lippi on the straight line speed. So down in 15th we have the Vossans, and it's Jay Lemur who's got past Marlouet and Alazaro. Marlouet in the other Vossan also taking a turn of speed here and getting past Alazaro. But if we go back to 11th place here with Haley Smith, we can see Kai Severston in the Bugatti making up some ground here. 0.4 of a second behind at the moment. But as they come down into the braking zone, you can see the Bugatti looking for a little bit of an opportunity there, maybe squirrely under the brakes, but seemingly losing out a little bit to Haley Smith in the acceleration zone there. Hanging in tight though, 1.4 seconds. Not quite the 0.4 they were before. Yeah, the two Vossans jostling for position now as the Marlouets and Jay Lemur Vossans close in on one another. Want to see whether there's any opportunity here for Marlouet to get through. Just taking a quick look back here in 9th place at Kusler and Korkowski throwing it down the inside on the exit of the corner. Going to lose that a little bit there on their momentum as Korkowski struggles to get past Kusler. They're side by side at the moment, but looks like Kusler's going to have the inside line for the first corner. And again, that will give Kusler the advantage in the exit here, having the higher line. Korkowski holding in for the time being. As they come to the exit, they're right on the lower end of the bank at the moment, and that's going to make it a little bit difficult. They pop straight into the slipstream, but you can see that slingshot speed of Kusler coming out of the corner there with the high line translates into an immediate gap of almost a second between Korkowski, considering they were side by side through the banking corner. Track currently at 95% grip, so we'll expect to see that increase as the race goes on. That will help as the tyres degrade. But you can see Kusler, they're actually sliding a little bit as they struggle to keep the car under control a little bit in the corners. But as they leave onto the back straight, they have a significant 2.1 seconds of delta to Korkowski. Lazaro in the pits, unfortunately. In the number 12. I wonder what's happened to Lazaro. So, back to Heitinen in the number 2, currently running in 5th place. They are going to be worried a little bit with what's coming up behind them, which is Nurmi. Of course, they're both in the Alphas. Here they are, overtaking a back marker by the looks of it. Looks like that can be Rosen. Yes, it is. But Heitinen leads under the bridge as Nurmi closes in 0.3 of a second between these two on the 4th lap here at Monza. And closing in fast by the looks of it. Going to be putting some pressure on Heitinen, which may result in a mistake. We'll have to see how cool Heitinen remains under pressure as they work their way down. Nurmi darts left first and then back to right as they pull a bit of a dummy there, and Heitinen managed to wangle the way through, but they're running slightly wide on the exit of the corner here, and that may allow Heitinen to sneak on back. But I think Nurmi is going to have the advantage here with their momentum out of the corner. And that 0.4 of a second is going in the wrong direction, turns into 0.5 as they come past the pit lane on their way down to the first of the banked corners. Uotila and Tolonen side by side through the banking here, with Uotila showing a nice turn of speed as they turn their low corner into a high corner, and now it's Tolonen looking to try and reciprocate that move. Will they have the speed out of the corner here to turn this into a overtake and get their space back in 3rd place? At the moment, Uotila just easing onto the podium there in another of the Alphas. I think Tolonen is, yeah, another of the Alpha drivers. Here they come into the second of the banked corners. This time, no such luck for Tolonen as Uotila manages to hold on to their lead. But at the moment, it's M. Peltonen who's stealing the race here with 9 seconds gap to 2nd place. And Jay Lindholm, a nice little gap here between Uotila and M. Peltonen. Has about 7 seconds of space behind themselves and about 9 to go in front. So a bit of work to do, but still a nice comfortable P2 at the moment. Tolonen now getting the slipstream, heading down to T1 into the braking zone. We'll see who can manage to get the most out of the car's brakes. Uotila getting the car sliding slightly through the corner there, managing to open up that gap to Tolonen by another second or so. Here we have Haley Smith in P11 with Kai Severston in 12th place in the Bugatti, closing in right behind Haley Smith as they dart out to the right hand side and try and turn this into an overtake, blasting through as they come down the start finish line. It looks like Haley Smith will now be watching the Bugatti from behind as they head down to T1. See if Hayley Smith can turn this into a into an overtake. Bit of a blue flashing there. I think that suggests some kind of desync potentially. Will Hayley have the speed through the corners? That's the question. 0.7 at the moment going into T1. That's turned into 0.8 coming out, so may not have that advantage in the corners over the Bugatti. As we know from the briefing, it's the Alphas which are the ones to watch here, and they seem to be proving their worth. Ooh, car off the track there. Looks like Kusler, who's dropped down to P12. I wonder if they picked up some damage there. Looks like Kusler now at risk of being overtaken by Henry, who's coming up quickly. Henry followed by Emperera as well. As they come up towards the bridge, Kusler's definitely losing out another 2 positions here. That's not helped their race whatsoever. And that's one of the fun things about Monza. You can see a car going over the bridge as the drivers come under it. Kusler now under power again and seemingly holding their own against Emperera here. Emperera about 0.3 of a second behind. Closing a little bit now with Slipstream, but let's see if Kusler can hold on to their position and start to work their way back up the grid. Emperera looking for a little bit of an opportunity here, but a little bit late to the party into that right-hander. You see Kusler 21.6 seconds off their best lap time, so certainly a bit of a big issue there. And now one of the fun things about Monza again, coming down the pit lane, you can see the other cars on the other side of the track, separated merely by a few cones in the middle of the road here, so certainly an interesting track layout. So Kai Severson currently running in 10th place, still having to worry a little bit about Hayley Smith coming up quickly in the Delage. And Hayley is right on the tail of Kai Severson at the moment. Let's see if that slipstream is going to be enough to allow Hayley Smith to turn this into an overtake manoeuvre as they come down to the braking zone or to the right-hander. There won't be any braking zone here actually because it's a sweeping right. Hayley doing a great job of hanging in here, but just not quite seemingly getting enough power to make an overtake. Definitely dealing with the bumps though. And you can see from Hayley's onboard perspective just how bumpy this track is. So V Tolonen under pressure here from Nurmi. As Nurmi breaks on through to capture 4th place. Tolonen now in the 16, back in 5th place. And Heitinen coming up quickly, which will mean that Tolonen cannot relax just yet. Looks like Orlet and McGears are now toe-to-toe in the Vossam. Cars both sides of the track now. And McGears thinking about a move there, but decides to slip back into the slipstream for a little bit longer. Looks like they are going to try and push for an overtake towards T1, but I think they're a little bit too far back potentially to make that work at this stage. Into T1. F. McGear's hot on the heels of the Vossan here. But they're maintaining a steady 0.2, but they're seeing if they can turn that exit speed into an overtake, but it doesn't seem to have been just enough yet. And the number 10 Vossan, driven by Marolet, is holding steady here, as the other Vossan, driven by Lemur, is seen in the background, just starting to join the fray here. But here's F. McGears on the inside, manages to sneakily make the overtake work, slightly off camera there behind the banked sandbanks. And it's F. McGears in front now. Takes 15th place as Morelat is in 16th now, and Jay Lamour closing in quickly is in 17th. Going back to the epic battle between Kai Severstein's Bugatti and Haley Smith's Delage. You can see Haley gets a nice exit from the final corner there. Coming through the pit lane straight. Haley's got the inside line as they head down towards the first of the banked corners, but actually manages to get in front and pulls ahead of Kai Severstein's Bugatti as they come into the banked corners. Let's see what they have in store for us as Kai Severstein seeks to try and reclaim their position in P10. Definitely a bumpy state of affairs here, and the risk here is trying to make a move will throw you down the inside, lower down the corner, and actually hurt your exit speed. So it looks like Kai Severstein's deciding to employ a strategy of patience and waiting their turn. They might be able to get a bit of an overtake here though as they switch to the left, trying to get an overtake, but that looked like it was going to be straight into the grass. So will Kai Severstein be able to build up enough momentum here to get an overtake, or will they be forced to wait behind Haley Smith as they go through the second of the banked corners? Oh, looks like the Bugatti bumping a little bit on the top barrier there. Lucky to come out of that unscathed. But they have fallen back slightly to 0.3 of a second. And here comes Kai, throws the car wide, but actually overcooks it dramatically and makes contact with the wall. Almost hitting one of those little pyramids in the middle of the track, which would be an absolute disaster, I'm sure. But their overtake manoeuvre has resulted in a bit of an undertake, and they're now 1 second further back than they wanted to be in the first place. So, unfortunate there for Kai Severstein, but a breath of relief for Haley Smith, I'm sure. Marlette and Kayla Fredge trading places as they come through. The Vorsan on the upper banked side of the corner there gets past Kayla Fredge. And a bit of a honk of the horn there as Kayla Fredge decides to take the inside line, coming past the Vorsan on the right. Honking all the way. And as they run down to the first corner, it's Marlette who's now watching Kayla Fredge. Kayla Fredge also using their speed to catch up with Jay Lamour, which is the other Vorsan, and looks like Kayla Fredge is going to sneak on through here. A bit of a burst of flame coming out of Kayla Fredge's exhaust pipe there, but the Vorsan, driven by Jay Lamour, maintains the position in 16th as they head through turn 1. Looks like Kayla Fredge has dropped back behind Lamour. Uratilla still running in third place at the moment, 2 seconds behind Jay Lindholm. We'll have to see whether that changes. Of course, a bit early on in the race to be considering pit stops, but I'm sure that will have an impact on the dynamic of the race as we get further into the racing here at Monza. Here we have Henry and Kusler battling all the way down the pit lane. And it looks like Kusler's going to have the opportunity here to get the inside line for turn 1. Let's see if Henry can do anything about that. Looks like Kusler's slightly further ahead. But Henry's the one who actually leads into the top of the banking. And that's going to put them in pretty good stead here as Kusler, you can see, dropping back already 0.6 of a second. Whereas they were side by side on the way in. Kusler now almost a second behind Henry. Henry improving on their best lap time, just marginally, but shows they're on pace. Jalen Moore now under pressure from Caleb Fredge as Caleb Fredge tries to take the lower line on the banking, which is always a struggle on the exit. But let's see whether Jalen Moore can manage to make this position stick, or whether Caleb Fredge managed to sneak on through here. 0.2 of a second separating them now. As you can see, the impact of being on the lower side of the banking once again catching out Caleb Fredge. And they are getting a bit of slipstream here, but as they head down to the second of the banked corners, I'm sure they're going to find themselves in a pretty similar position once again. Ooh, wow, what was that? Looks like Jalen Moore just got absolutely annihilated. They've clipped a wall potentially and somersaulted off the track. Seemingly all wheels are intact right now somehow, but I'm sure that's going to have done some critical damage given the violence of that crash. And back to the pit lanes. That will result in a DNF, unfortunately, for Jalen Moore. Their race is unfortunately over. So Kai Severston once again ahead of Haley Smith in P10. But Haley closing in. That 0.5 of a second now turning into a 0.4, 0.3 as they come up to the bridge. Nice turn of speed here for Haley Smith. Will they be able to turn this into an overtake? They come up to the braking zone. Haley hot on the heels of the Bugatti. Looking for an opportunity here. Looks left, looks right. Decides to go right as they head down to the right-hander. But has to sneak back in behind as they try and ease off the speed as they come around the final corner. And 0.3 of a second separating Haley Smith from Kai Severston here. This time Haley's got the turn of speed again, once on the exit from the corner, getting the acceleration from the delage employed. And these two have been doing this merry dance now for a couple of laps at least now. Looking further up the grid, we can see Uatilla now 0.6 of a second behind Jay Lindholm. There's definitely going to be a battle between those two unfolding shortly. The Bugatti from Kai Severston coming up quickly now, slipstreaming off the back end of Haley Smith's delage as they burn on down the back straight. Let's go to Jay Lindholm though, because Uatilla is now within 0.3 of Jay Lindholm's Alpha. They're both in an Alpha of course, but we've been watching Uatilla get slowly closer lap after lap, and now as we get to, oh look at that P. van Rosen off the track there, or was that Kusler? Oh, it might be Lippe actually. But Jay Lindholm is closing in. Looks like Haley Smith and Kai Severston once again side by side. Actually, as it happens, there's Nurmi on the left, Lindholm and Uatilla. But here's the overtake manoeuvre from Uatilla as he tries to go down the inside on the way down to the first of the banked corners. That will put them in a bit of a bad spot for the first of the banking corners. Uatilla will definitely struggle to overtake here unless they can sneak on through and get ahead of Lindholm and close the door potentially. Looks like they are slightly further ahead, but I don't think they're feeling confident enough to go over and close that door yet. They might just need a little bit more headroom. Oh, there's a correction from Uatilla as they almost lose the car coming through the banked corners here. That's the risk, of course, in the banked corners. As the tyres start to wear and you're making corrections mid-corner, that is always a risk to be watched very carefully. As we go back to the battle between Kai Severston and Hayley Smith, the overtakes continue as it's Hayley Smith's turn on the left hand side here to shoot on past. But I don't think Kai Severson's out of the race just yet, and they're closing in once again. Slipstreaming. Can't believe how balanced these two cars are at this track. It seems to be a continuous trading of places as they find their way through. Did the Bugatti going in the corner there with a bit more speed, but having to shed it mid-corner to try not to rear-end Hayley Smith's Delage. But now a bit of a gap opening between the two, 0.5 of a second as they come down past the pit lane. Let's go back to Jay Lindholm, who's now got Uratilla closing in once again. 0.3 of a second, considering how much time Uratilla lost in the banking. They've done a great job of closing this in again. And there's a Vossan off the side of the track. Is that the other Delage, which I think is Marlette? Yes, it is. Might be unfortunately seeing another retirement from the Vossans if they struggle with the remainder of the race. Quarter of the race now completed and the battles continue. Uratilla using that slipstream to close in, carrying quite a lot of speed into this corner here, but nowhere to go unfortunately as Lindholm parks the car right in the way. Of course, completely able to do so, but using all the strategies they have to maintain a defensive position. Just make it things a little bit more difficult for Uratilla. Kai Severston and Hayley Smith trade places once more, with Kai now in front. And here into the banked corners, Uratilla 0.4 of a second behind still. So Uratilla 0.5 of a second behind still. Have to wait and see if they have a bit more time to close in, but they've got 30 more laps to go, so plenty of time for Uratilla to close that small gap and get up to P2. M. Peltonen leading the race for the last 11 laps. Or 10 laps, just moving into lap 11 right now, as a 13.6 second gap to Jay Lindholm, and seems to be quite relaxed out in the front. Hayley Smith now back in front of Kai Severston as the epic battle between these two continues once again with another overtake. Track now up to 96%. Looks like the wind has dropped off a little bit. No sign of the rain just yet. That might be a game changer when it arrives if it's remotely heavy, but I believe it should be light showers only. Here's Uratilla on the attack once again, this time attempting to overtake in a very different part of the track, and now has an opportunity on the brakes to get closer to Lindholm, and tries to do so on the exit here. Side by side into the right-hander. Goes in third place, comes out in P2 with a nice commanding lead as they use their speeds to turn that 0.4 seconds gap behind into a 0.7 seconds lead over Jay Lindholm. So nicely done there from Uratilla. as they sneak on through and up to P2 in this race. So Marcus Peltonen's last lap was a 3:21.725, whereas Uratilla's was a 3:22.405. So Marcus is definitely on point here with the pace, and now that Uratilla is now through the battle, we might see that those lap times increase, and we'll have to see whether Uratilla can close in the 12 seconds deficit to Marcus Peltonen. But there is 30 laps to go, so plenty of time. Here comes Haley Smith once again, continuing the battle with Kai Severson, although Kai is currently 0.3 seconds behind and on the back foot currently. But their lap times have been pretty much even Stevens here, with 3:35's best lap times for Kai and Haley, although Haley has the 3:35.694 to Kai Severson's 3:35.361. So the Bugatti does seem to have a little bit more pace here, but Haley's doing a fantastic job of keeping Kai Severson at bay. Back to the number 14 car, M. Cossi in 8th place. They seem to have a nice little kind of gap going here. They're 7 seconds ahead of 9th place, which is held by Korkowski, and a whole 54 seconds behind Lippi, who is themselves 52 seconds behind V. Tolonen. Certainly a nice sounding car, and a very standoutish livery that M. Cossi has picked here. Things like Nurmi and Lindholm are holding steady about 1.2 seconds apart. You see that Nurmi might be closing a little bit here, but Lindholm is definitely losing out a little bit of time to Uratilla, which makes sense given how much pressure Uratilla was putting on Lindholm as they were trying to get past in the first place. But Lindholm is 2.2 seconds behind now. Uratilla, though, is now only 10.9 seconds behind Marcus Peltonen, and you can see that their delta here is 0.3, 0.4 of a second up on their best. So expecting to see Uratilla start to take some meaningful chunks out of that gap to Marcus Peltonen. So as we approach the end of lap 12, Uratilla is now 11 seconds behind. Their main competition here is Marcus Peltonen. Live timing shows that the last lap time for Uratilla was a 3:22.024, and their best lap time is 3:21.848. So a little bit of headroom there left for Uratilla to go a bit faster. They've just set the best Sector 1 time though for the race thus far with a 1:28.160. Marcus Peltonen's last lap was a 3:23.830 and their best is a 3:21.039. So we're going to see if Uratilla can go the distance and improve their best lap time and take that top spot in terms of lap time as they continue their march towards the front of the pack for the lead of this race. Looks like Kai Severson has dropped a little bit further behind Hayley Smith, by the way. 1.2 seconds now, so not sure what happened to Kai Severson's Bugatti there, but they're definitely losing a lot of time now. Uatilla continuing here with a 0.5 improvement on the lap time. If they can bring this home, it would definitely put them in close contention with Marcus Pelton's best lap time. Of course, they're in the same car here in the Alpha. But the time to beat is a 3:21.039. And Kari Uatilla's Sector 2 wasn't a personal or a race best. Sector 3 is a personal best. That brings their lap time to a 3:21.381, which is also their personal best, but still about 0.035 behind Marcus Pelton's best lap time. As we take a look here at F. McGears and Kayla Fredge, you can see Uatilla and Lindholm battling their way through. Thankfully, cars getting out the way. Looks like Nurmi's in the mix now, though, as Nurmi's managed to use this traffic to take an opportunity to catch up with Lindholm's Alpha. And now these two are locked into a battle of their own, with only 0.4 of a second separating these two as they come round here, working their way through the traffic. And you can see Nurmi there just coming up to the bridge now as they sneak on past one of the back markers, continuing their battle with Lindholm as it starts to unfold here at Monza. Nurmi's Alpha carrying a lot of speed. Looks like one of the back markers just took themselves off the track there, and they've also collected Nurmi as part of that rejoin. And Nurmi somehow did a pirouette and just got straight back on the track, but they might be in a bit of danger now. They might have caused some damage to the car, but they seem to have corrected themselves and are back on the straight and narrow. We'll have to see if that's done any damage to the transmission or gearbox, but hopefully they got their clutch in quickly enough. But Nurmi getting collected there by potentially, I'm not sure who that was. Definitely one of the back markers who was caught off track. Uatilla, though, third place still, having had Lindholm sneak on back through. And as they come through the banking, Uatilla is mere moments behind Lindholm in the Alfa Romeo. You can see that traffic causing quite a bit of a delay for Uatilla. 4.8 seconds off their best lap time here. Slipstream starting to kick in, but again on the banked corners there's not much of a overtake potential here unless you're carrying a lot of overspeed into that corner. But very bad news for Nurmi. I hope that hasn't caused them to need a early pit stop. Uatilla, though, carrying the speed now as they come down the start-finish line. It's Uatilla on the inside as they try and work their way through to turn 1. And with the current position they have, they might be in a good spot there to make this overtake stick. And it's Uatilla into the first corner, pulls ahead of Lindholm. 0.4 of a second going in, and Uatilla is carrying a lot of speed now, sliding the Alpha through the first corner. See, they have a slightly bigger slip angle on the blue car here compared to Lindholm, and that's definitely seemingly helping Uatilla carry more speed as they turn that into a 1.1 second gap to Lindholm again. Marlette still going as El Fontaine in the background seemingly was getting a little bit close there, but it's backed off now. But nice to see one of the Vossans still in the running here. So lap 14, Uatilla 16 seconds behind Marcus Pelton. I think the traffic definitely helped Marcus Pelton open up a more significant gap here. And with 16 seconds, that's quite a significant amount of time in the bank there. Of course, a pit stop takes 1.5 minutes, so they're going to need a little bit more in the tank there if they wish to you know, build up enough safety zone for a pit stop. But we'd get to see what the strategy that the drivers will be employing here pit stop wise will be. As we come up to half race distance, we'll have to see which of the cars is going to be pitting intentionally for the first time. But we can see Kayla Fredge is in the pit lane themselves as we mention it, and they've missed their pit box and having to reverse up a little bit. But back to Uatilla. F. McGears now under pressure from Korkowski. Or Korkiakowski, as I should say. Do a honk of the horn there. Side by side now, Korkiakowski can't say the words now. Korkiakowski takes the inside line on F. McGears down to turn 1. Let's see what F. McGears has got in the tank here to deal with this. Switchback from F. McGears. He's taken a very nice line as he attempts to sneak back through. But let's see whether they've got the ability. Side by still on the exit. They look to be in the same car. But it's the 53 driven by McGears, which is now 0.2 seconds behind, and they're losing out a little bit of time here. F. McGears here attempting to keep up with Korkiakowski, but looks like Korkiakowski's broken through there, and now it's a 0.9 seconds gap between the two of them as that continues to extend as they come up to the bridge. Looks like Uatilla in second place now, 1.1 seconds ahead of Jay Lindholm, so extending a little bit there, but has 15.3 seconds to go compared to Marcus Peltonen. Marcus Peltonen on a 3:21.207 last lap compared to Kari Uatilla's 3:25.91. But that being said, Kari Uatilla set the lap record for Sector 3 there on that last lap. So I think if Uatilla can string all of those sectors together, they definitely have that best lap time in their grasp. But at the moment, just need to string those together in one lap rather than separate laps. That looked like Kai Severston in the Bugatti just rejoining, having pitted. and it's Hayley Smith who is up in 8th place at the moment. Couldn't spot them there for a second because they seem to have got the number 14 yellow sticker next to their name rather than one that I was expecting. But the battle between Kai Severston and Hayley Smith seems to have been won by Smith on this particular one. M. Cossey now in the pit lane, as is one of the Vossans. Looks like it's Jay Lamour. And Jay Lamour just heading out after their pit stop. So some pit stops definitely happening. Could be fuel or tyres, but I guess given the timing, that could be just fuel. Because I think a tyre change takes 1.5 minutes, and that was seemingly a lot less. Hey Vars, good to see you. So as we approach half race distance, the track is now up to 96% still, and track temperatures remaining steady here at 17. Wind has dropped off a little bit to 2 kilometers an hour. And Marcus Peltonen, our race leader, has a very commanding lead of 15.1 seconds as they come up to the bridge. Hasn't really had any competition thus far in this race, but we'll have to see whether Uatilla has got anything up their sleeve. And here's another 0.36 seconds in Uatilla's tank, which may mean that they are starting to close in, timing-wise at least, to Marcus Peltonen. Nurmi just setting the best sector 2 on the last lap there. Wow, actually Nurmi has, if we just go to Nurmi, despite Nurmi's slight crash, they've had a bit of luck and they've set a 3:28.26, which is by far and away the fastest lap in this race. I think Jay Lindholm had set a 3:21.975, but that is 1.1 seconds slower than Nurmi's time has just been. Nurmi catching a bit of the wall there though, so whilst fast, they may be struggling a little bit on the consistency front. But Lindholm's now in the pit lane. And we haven't seen Marcus Peltonen come in yet, so we might see Uatilla momentarily take the lead of this race as Marcus Peltonen pits, unless Uatilla is going to be pitting before Marcus Peltonen. Uatilla now almost a second up on the lap time. 0.9 of a second improvement here, potentially, if they can get that over the line. There are quite a few Finns in the race. We've got Marcus Peltonen, Uatilla, Heitinen, Nurmi, Tolonen, Lindholm, Lippi. So basically everyone from P1 to 7 is from Finland. We've also got Korkiakoski, Kai Severston, Kusela, and Cossey. So Lindholm remains in the pits. Timing of this might mean tyres, but not entirely sure at this stage. It's no visual effect to give me a clue. And unfortunately no battles out there on the track at the moment, although Lindholm is managing to maintain P7 despite having been in the pits for quite some time. But Hayley Smith is over a minute behind, so looks like these alphas are just so dominant here at Monza. that it's taken an entire pit stop for Haley Smith to catch up, and they're still fairly far behind. So Uatila sets the best sector 1 on the last lap. Heitinen takes the best sector 2 of the race. Uatila just set a 3:20.588 though, which means that they are now the race leader in terms of fastest lap time. I think it was Nurmi who set a 3:20.826 when Uatila's raised that bar a further 0.3 of a second. Probably because fuel is starting to get a little bit lighter now, and that's going to mean they're a little bit quicker. But an impressive turn of speed from Uatila for sure. Exactly, Viles, yeah. So, Uatila, lap 17, continues their hunt for the top spot in this race. Pit stops may play a big role in this though. Lindholm is still in the pit, so definitely a tyre change for Jay Lindholm, I believe. Haley Smith now, having broken through up to P7, leaves Lindholm in P8, that's soon to be P9 as M. Pereira gets through. M. Pereira now up to P8 in the number 16 car. F. McGears breaks through as well, as does Kai Severston. And Jay Lindholm remains in the pits for the time being. Keep an eye on them. They've got A. Henry coming up next. 40 seconds to go though until Henry gets past. Marcus Pelton though continues out front. You can see their lap time just dancing around the same plus or minus 1 hundredth or 1 millisecond. Meanwhile, Lindholm's pit stop continues to drop them further and further down the standings here as they lose out there to Henry and drop to P13. I think at this stage of the race, with the fuel starting to get a little bit lighter in the cars, it's going to be a question of who can set those best lap times. At the moment, Kari Uatila maintains their position in P2, but with the best lap time. The last lap was a 3:20.801, so slower than their best, but not by a huge margin. Marcus Pelton though coming round. F. McGears now under pressure from Kai Severston in the Bugatti, as Kai Severston seems to have found a new battle partner to tango with. And the Bugatti sliding through there, tries to find a way through, going down the inside, not leaving a lot of room here. Switches back to the left-hand side though, tries to dummy back. But F. McGears managing to hold their own here into the braking zone for the right-hander. Let's see if the Bugatti's got anything up their sleeve here. Pulling up alongside, Kai Severston doing a nice job here, and they might have managed it there. Bit of a honk of the horn as F. McGears continues to hold their own, but the Bugatti drops in behind once again, looking for slipstream. And they're coming up to the bridge now, so let's see what Kai Severston can do. looks like Darling and Moret burning down the start-finish straight here. Nurmi splits the two and comes through the middle. No, sorry, it wasn't Nurmi. It was Marcus Peltonen, our race leader, who obviously hasn't needed to pit yet. So, in third place, Heitinen is just holding on to the podium for the time being, but Nurmi is closing in quickly, and Nurmi's only 0.5 of a second behind, even though they're driving the same car. Last lap time for Nurmi was a 3:21.618 compared to Heitinen's 3:24.483, and best lap time for Heitinen is just slightly better than Nurmi's by a small margin. It was a 3:20.795 for Heitinen and a 3:20.826 for Nurmi. Nurmi definitely putting on some pressure here as Heitinen manages to hold on to their position for the time being, but Nurmi closing in quickly, 0.2 of a second behind as they look for a way through, dives onto the left-hand side and goes wheel to wheel with Heitinen as they come down the straight here to the next right-hander. Don't know where Nurmi's getting that burst of speed from, but they managed to make that look so easy as they take a 4/10 lead into the right-hander here. And Heitinen drops down to 4th place as Nurmi takes the final spot on the podium, as we're just approaching half race distance now. Now, pit stops may be a thing, and here comes Heitinen in for the pit stop. Let's see if they do a full stop for tyres or whether they're just doing fuel. Meanwhile, Peltonen and Uatila continue. We'll have to see whether Peltonen's going to need to pit now. All the other Alphas seem to be coming in around this point, but let's see if they are planning a full race distance. Lindholm's definitely retired, I think, at this point. They're in the pits for such a long time now. I think they've definitely had a bit of misfortune and retired, although what exactly has befallen them, I'm not sure. But Tolinen takes the 4th place again as Heitinen loses out in the pits. There's a whole minute until Lippi is coming up for Heitinen's 5th spot. So lap 20 for Marcus Peltonen. And no sign of pitting just yet. Let's see if Uatila is thinking along similar lines. Hayley Smith now in the pit lane. 11th place. I think F. McGears has just snuck past there due to the pits up to P10, but Hayley Smith will be back out on track shortly, no doubt. El Fontaine up to P18, having overtaken Jay Lindholm in the pits. And now it's Kai Severston and F. McGears at it once again as they battle their way through. Kai Siversen currently running in P9 on lap 20, taking a good chunk out of their best lap time here, 0.5 in second improvement. So Marcus Peltonen finally coming into the pits. They decided to do a half race distance strategy, it seems. So they will come in now. But will Uatilla? No, they've decided to carry on and push their car a little bit further. So Uatilla will take the race lead temporarily until they themselves need to pit. But at lap 20, it's Uatilla taking the race lead. Kai Siversen and Korkekoski battling now, although it seems like Kai Siversen's breaking away nice and quickly, 0.8 of a second separating the two. Korkekoski closing in again now, 0.3 of a second behind. Nurmi's in the pits as well. And Korkekoski throwing it down the left-hand side under the bridge, goes flying past Kai Siversen as they head down into the corner. But the Bugatti swings back on the inside, and the battle between these two is far from over. Kai Siversen having a fantastic day out on track today with battles galore. Korkekoski dropping in behind once more, trying to get some slipstream going, I'm sure. Running slightly wider there than they might otherwise want to be. Korkekoski through again on the straight line speed, with the Bugatti dropping in behind as Kai Siversen decides he's not giving up just yet. Let's stick with these guys for a little bit longer and see where this battle goes. Look at that speed from Kai Siversen. They just slingshot out from behind Korkekoski and turn that into a nice little overtake manoeuvre, leaving Korkekoski for dust on the straight here. 0.4 of a second, 0.5 potentially. Yep, as there it is, as they're coming to the next of the sweeping right-handers. And it's Korkekoski's now 1 second behind on the back of that overtake from Kai Siversen. Oh, Korkekoski's just suddenly teleported back to the pits for some reason. That's going to be a DNF for them. But here's Uatilla coming around the final corner, and it's their turn to pit this time. They let Marcus Peltonen pit first, and Uatilla's now coming in on lap 21. So in a few moments we'll see B. Tolonen, who I don't think's pitted yet, and Marcus Peltonen come back and take that race lead back. I said it would be a temporary change of race leader. And depending if Uatilla's doing tyres or fuel only, that might have an impact on the balance of this race. That's Emperera just leaving the pit lane there. B. Tolonen takes the race lead as they overtake Uatilla in the pits. And In a few moments we'll have Marcus Peltonen do the same thing as they come round the final corner. And there's our race leader resuming their P2 spot. But look at that. Utilla's out of the pit lane quite quickly. And they might be in with a shot here. Heitinen takes third place on the back of that pit stop from Utilla. Look at this. We've got Darling, Kayla Fredge, and an as yet unidentified other red car. Oh, it's Kusler. Battling here as they come round on lap 21. Only one of them's got a tail number, which is the number 9, which is Kusler. And looks like Lafredge getting their back wheels caught out on the grass there. There's quite a lip on the tarmac here, so if you get a wheel off, it's definitely going to cause you a little bit of a headache. Track's now up to 97%, although the wind and temperatures remain the same, but the rubbering in is starting to improve conditions somewhat. So Tolonen is probably the only one who hasn't pitted just yet. But I presume they'll be coming in on this lap for a pit. Unfortunately, Lindholm and Kossi both out of the race, it seems. But for the time being, at least, the pit stops have definitely changed the running order quite significantly. And here comes Tolonen round the final corner. Let's see if they're coming in for that pit stop. No, they're deciding to stay out, it seems. Going to check the live timing to just confirm. Yeah, so no pit stops for Tolonen just yet. They're pushing their car as far as they can go, it seems. That being said, it does say that Marcus Peltonen and Heitinen haven't pit stopped either, and neither is Utilla. So I think the live timing page might be a little bit skewed. And that might mean that Tolonen has indeed pitted already as they come round on lap 22. See the extreme difference in speed between, I think that was Henry. No, not Henry, but timing board here a little bit messed up. I can't quite see who's which car. But yeah, I suspect Tolonen will probably need to pit at some point, although as the briefing said, it is possible to go the whole race distance on one set of tyres and potentially fuel, depending on the car. But it is a riskier strategy given the risk of the tyres giving up in one of the banked corners. They can be quite bumpy and therefore a bit of a danger to the drivers. .324.107 for Tolonen there. In P19 and 20 we've got J. Lemoore and El Fontaine, with J. Lemoore just overtaking. That puts J. Lemoore up to P19. So under the bridge, lap 23. J. Lemoore carries on in P19. 31 second gap to P. Rosen though. Marcus Peltonen separated by 3 seconds to Heitinen. See Heitinen in the background there. But Tollenin is yet to pit, so as we come around the final corner, let's see whether Tollenin is coming in. No, staying out once again, and improving on their lap time, so the fuel is definitely getting lower. But let's see how far Tollenin can push this car. The Alfa is just so much quicker than the other cars on the grid. Lap 23 continues as Tollenin approaches the end of the track. They're going to be improving on the lap time by about half a second by the looks of it. But with the increased fuel that the cars are picking up, the likes of Attila and so on don't seem to be improving on the lap times. They'll be a little bit too heavy now to compete with their own personal bests for the time being, but then once they get a bit lower on fuel again, they might be up for a little bit more of a shot at that, especially as the track continues to improve in speed with the rubbering in. But there's Tollenin closing in on a half-second improvement. And 3:23.313 last lap, which is their best lap. Unfortunately, no battles unfolding on the track just at this moment in time, so let's take a little bit of a look at the briefing document. We haven't seen the rain come just yet, but I'm just reading here that the SH tyres, which is what most of the grid are using right now, I think everyone, apart from Kustler, Lefredge and a few other drivers lower down the grid, everyone's using the SH tyre, which is the fastest of the tyres, but they get worn out quickly and get hot more easily. They're also completely useless in the wet, so if the rain comes, that's going to probably force some pit stops. The tyre changes take 1.5 minutes as well, so it's a bit of a gamble if the drivers are out there on the SH tyre. The LS tyres are the most safe if you want to aim for 0 pit stops or no tyre strategy. So with Tolnin driving on the SH, he's definitely going to need to pit at some point. But I think the rain could be an absolute game changer here. If the rain comes at any point when the drivers are out there on these SH tyres, they're going to struggle. And they might need to come into pits, which will potentially ruin some strategies. But it will only be light rain, I'm advised, so we'll have to see what that means in terms of the standings as we go towards the end of the race. Looks like Heitinen is closing a little bit more on Peltonen, almost to 0.5 of a second. The clouds are getting a little bit more gloomy by the looks of it, so I don't know if that means rain is starting to be a concern. Interesting that none of the drivers switched onto the LS tyre for the second half of the race, and they've stuck with the SH. Heitinen closing in on Nurmi now, sorry, on Peltonen, as they overtake one of the back markers. Down the start-finish straight they go. Heitinen closing in quickly now with the slipstream. Slingshots to the left as they come up to first corner. There's a Vossan in the way though, so that's going to cause a little bit of a headache, potentially, for Heitinen. That's the onboard view for Heitinen. Not sure where they're going to go. They're side by side, but there's contact between Heitinen and Peltonen, and both drivers off into the fence, with Heitinen coming out a little bit less worse for wear, but looks of it. Peltonen gets the engine restarted and gets back on track, but that's not good news for Heitinen and Peltonen. Very good news for Tolnin, and great news for Uatila, who we see coming through right now. And Uatila's now got all the speed they need to catch up with Heitinen as well, because it will take a little bit of time for Heitinen to get back up to full speed. There may also be damage to contend with, so that could mean consequences in terms of finances for Peltonen and Nurmi. Or Heitinen, sorry. So Uatila, 7.6 seconds behind Heitinen at the moment. I don't know if Heitinen's struggling for damage at all after their impact. They had a bit of an impact with the fence, but it didn't seem to be as bad, potentially, as Peltonen's. But let's see if they come into the pits. No, seemingly feeling okay. They carry on. And no sign of the rain just yet. So Tolnin continues out in front. They have a 37-second gap now as they come down the start-finish straight. Seemingly pushing these SH tyres as far as they will go. I wonder if they'll be coming into pit to... Maybe they're playing a bit of a game here to see whether they can stay out on the SH tyres for as long as they can. And if they see the first sign of rain, maybe they're going to switch to the LS tyre then, whereas the other drivers are already pitted for a new set of SH tyres, and that could mean that they are at risk now of that rain coming in if it does arrive, and causing a little bit of a headache with their strategies. Let's see if Tollinen's played the strategy card, and if that brings them home to victory here at Monza. Lap 26. Tollinen continues their lead of the race, having taken the lead from Marcus Peltonen, who unfortunately is now down in P6 following an incident and losing out a little bit on the pit stops. But Tollinen continuing here. Let's see if they will pit at all after this last corner. They seem to be doing fine as they are. Ironically, not the fastest driver here. They are on 323s, whereas some of the other drivers have been setting 320s. But the strategy seems to be in their favour at the moment for Tollinen, and they are doing a nice job of this. Peltonen seemingly overtaking Lippi there, who's had a bit of an issue, it would seem. And there's Tollinen overtaking one of the other cars, back marker, as they plough through lap 26 here at Monza. Tollinen remaining on track with their best lap times here. Pretty steady times, consistent. I think that's Haley Smith there being overtaken by Tollinen on the start-finish line. Lippi is now in the pits, or has been for a short moment there. I don't know if that's repairing damage or not, because they were caught off the track a few moments ago, and it could be a damage issue that they're in for. Uatilla still ploughing forward here. Last lap time 3:23.303, so actually not too far dissimilar to Tollinen. I guess Tollinen's time is improving, because last lap was a 3:23.208, which is their best of the race. But once the fuel drops off, Uatilla and Heitinen are both capable, as is Nurmi and Peltonen, of 320s. Ah, bad news for Peltonen. They are off the track. Wheels are intact, but seemingly a little bit skewed. I don't know what this means for their race, if they're going to be able to get the car restarted or if they're cooling the engine down. But they are not under their own power right now, and I don't believe they're near the pit lane. Yeah, they're at the... literally the furthest away from the pit lane that they could be right now. Ah, there they go, back under power. Struggling to get back onto the track there, it seems, but here they go. Heitinen's into the pits. Let's see if they switch tyres to an LS. Meanwhile, Tolonen leading the race right now, overtaking the number 3 Alpha. And Tolonen continues the race, having started lap 28. We'll have to see whether they are planning a pit stop at any point. I wonder if they're playing the weather game though. That's the bit that I'm most intrigued to see, is if there's going to be a change in weather and whether the Tolonen's going to be able to capitalise on that on the basis that they haven't changed their tyres yet. And that might be a trick up their sleeve. They're still a whole minute or so ahead of Uratilla. 45 seconds to be precise, and we know that Uratilla's changed their tyres, so this might be a masterstroke from Tolonen in strategy, or something else is afoot. Elfontaine, Korkowski, Lindholm and Kossi are all in the pits. I think they've all retired. And here's Tolonen into the pits. Let's see what they decide to do tyre-wise. Is it going to be an SH tyre or an LS tyre? No drops of rain, so at this stage in the race it could be a little bit of a gamble. Or will they stick on the tyre and just put some more fuel in? They've managed 28 laps without a proper stop yet. Uratilla though, 17 seconds behind, will be eagerly awaiting their opportunity to overtake, and here it comes. Ooh, was that rain I just saw? Don't think it was. Might have just been a little graphical glitch. Thought I saw a streak of rain coming down. The clouds remain thick in the sky here at Monza. Looks like P. Rosen in the number 3 battling with Marolat for position. And potentially Henry. Yep, coming up behind. Is that Nurmi? No, it's not. It's Peltonen. As Peltonen comes blasting through in the Alpha. But Marolet is still fighting for position here. But P-Rosen is seemingly breaking away with quite a bit burst of speed. Now, is that the rain? Yes, I think we have rain upon us. And all of those on the LS tyre are going to be in a good spot right now. But if you're on an SH tyre, you're probably going to find this a little bit more tricky. And Tolonen. Ooh, so Tolonen didn't take the LS tyre. They're on the SH. That's going to be a challenge for them. I wonder if they gambled wrong on what seemed like such a good strategy. But yeah, look, there we go. Marolet's spun in the rain. And looks to try and rejoin. Nurmi, the race leader, is also on the SH tyre. Let's see how they fare. Heitinen is the only one in the top 5 who is on the LS tyre, apart from Lippi, who's taking the HS tyre. And there's Uatilla spinning, so as predicted, the SH tyre is going to be a little bit of a risk for the drivers. Nurmi takes the race lead, having managed to sneak past Uatilla there, following Uatilla's spin. This rain is going to be causing absolute chaos, it seems. You can see Nurmi's rear end there just stepping out as they control the car. But I'm going to bet my bottom dollar is going to be a degradation in lap times following the rain turning up now. Be interesting to see whether Heitinen is going to be able to make some pretty big gains now. Their LS tyre should help them. But maybe Nurmi is just very good at driving in the rain. And Nurmi exits the final corner, almost making contact with the wall there, so their tyres are definitely going to be a challenge for them. But let's see what they can do. Utilla's in the pits. I think they're going to be changing their tyre. But that's going to be a 1.5 minutes or so tyre change, which could have quite a significant impact on where they finished. Tolonen continuing on the SH tyre. Takes P2 on the back of Uatilla coming in. The rain getting heavier now. So let's see what Tolonen can do with their tyre compound. They're on fresh tyres at least, which will help, but SH tyres nonetheless. Into the second of the banked corners for Tolonen. Seemingly keeping things under control here, despite the bumps. Down the start-finish straight, they go. Last lap for Heitinen was a 3:55, so Don't think we've seen a flying lap properly for Heitinen yet on the new conditions. But Uttila was able to do a 3:22 last lap. Nurmi a 3:25. Jay Lamour in his Bossan. Here comes Pereira. Marcus Peltonen with F. McGears tries to take the lower line on the banked corners. Could be a risky manoeuvre. Let's see what things look like from McGears' point of view, trying to follow in that spray. Not too bad. Still pretty good visibility despite the rain. But Utila's back out on track now, so surely that was too quick for a pit stop with tyre change, but Heitinen's only 35 seconds behind right now. Yet to see a flying lap from Heitinen. They're on plus 10 seconds in terms of personal best time, but I'm interested to see what their time is relative to the rest of the grid. It's a 3:25 for Nurmi on the last lap. And as we close into the last quarter of this race, it's Nurmi and Tolnin in the top two spots, with Uttila in the final third place spot on the podium. Heitinen in fourth place, but Heitinen is the only driver here with LS tyres, which might cope with the rain better. So Heitinen on a 3:32 last lap. .9 seconds gap to Heitinen still, sorry, to Uttila. So despite the tyre difference, the gap still seems to be remaining relatively stable. Quite a large gap though between Uttila and Nurmi of 2 minutes. But look at this, Nurmi's on the side of the track once again. Hard to tell whether this is damage, although that front left tyre does look quite out of kilter. But it might be just cooling off again. We've seen Nurmi do this a few times, just pull up and let the car cool down. Let's see if that front left is going to be giving Nurmi any grief. Definitely seems like damage to me. And they are literally as far from the pit lane as they could possibly wish to be. So unfortunately it looks like Nurmi's going to be in a bit of a struggle here to get back to the pit lane. Driving 113 kilometers an hour in the rain with a broken wheel. Interesting approach, but brave nonetheless. Tolnin though in first place right now and doing very well. 9 laps to go. But the rain definitely putting a damper on things. About 6 seconds delta in terms of lap time. Peltonen being overtaken there, or closing in on Heitinen. As our Alphas continue to battle. Heitinen and Peltonen, different tyre compounds. It's Heitinen on the LS compound. Let's see what Peltonen's got in store for us as they approach with haste down the right hand side, looking to try and get the inside line for T1. And they are through and closing the door as we speak. Nurmi under the bridge here with this damaged wheel. Uatilla only 9 seconds behind, so the question now will be, Nurmi's going to need to get to the pits, which they're doing a great job of getting there in one piece, but they're going to need to pit, and it's going to be how much time will they lose in that pit stop and how many positions will they lose, because they're in P2 right now. It's quite a late stage of the race to be picking up damage of this nature. And Uatilla coming absolutely flying down the straight here into the corner. They'll be cautious of Peltonen's damage. The Peltonen coming around the final corner, they'll be able to get into the pit lane now. Let's see what they can do in terms of repairing their car and getting back out into this race. In they come. Amazing job of controlling the car in the rain at speed with a tyre as damaged as that one was. Heitinen now just behind Peltonen. It takes the inside line and seemingly getting a good bit of speed through that corner there. Peltonen 0.3 of a second behind, but maybe in with a shot here. And both overtaking Nurmi there as Nurmi is in the pits. Kai Sivertsen and F. Magius battling. They're not too far behind. They're going to overtake Nurmi as well in a lap or two. Peltonen struggling to keep up with Heitinen. That could be a difference in the tyre compound. Lots of spray coming off the track now. The rain definitely building up a little bit of a layer on the track now. And Peltonen now 0.8 of a second behind. Will they be able to keep up with Heitinen in the rain as the conditions worsen here at Monza? Tollenin though sitting very happily out in front with a 137. And I think Nurmi is back out on the track with his newly fixed wheel. Kai Sivertsen and F. Magius battling now though. And the Bugatti closing in as they go down the left hand side. It's 3 wide as they come down the start finish straight. And Kai Sivertsen will just have the lead going into turn 1. F. McGeer still holding on here, 0.4 of a second behind Kai Siversen as they break down into the corner here. McGeer doing a fantastic job on the brake, so it seems, and they've managed to sneak on through, but there's Siversen coming through, and all this contact between McGeer and looks like McGeer decided to just come off the track there to make sure that Kai Siversen was first back on. But it looks like Kai Siversen almost ploughed into a tree there. I don't know if that's going to cause some damage, but looks like McGeer has decided to take the gentlemanly option of not driving away. Ooh, Vossan coming into the pits as Heitinen in third place leads Peltonen by 3 seconds now. Henry now on the attack, taking advantage of McGeer's incident and closing into 0.5 of a second. And as we approach the midpoint of lap 33, conditions here seem to remain rainy. No sign of it easing up. In fact, it seems to be getting a little bit worse, if you ask me. Live timing screen indicates that the weather is overcast, but I don't believe that is correct. McGeer on the inside line now, trying to overtake Kai Siversen. We've seen this happen before though. They might get ahead in the corner, but let's see what that means for Kai Siversen's exit speed. And Kai, 0.3. Didn't get the best launch out of that actually, interestingly enough. Henry on the attack though, 0.6, 0.5. Henry getting a great burst of speed here as they approach the rear of Kai Siversen. Henry now through, splitting the two Bugatti and F. McGeer. And Henry trying to get another position out of this, but definitely going to have to wait a little bit longer, I think. As I come through the second banked corner, it's Henry in the number 12, splitting F. McGeer and Kai Siversen. Henry now on the attack again, seemingly getting a massive boost of speed from somewhere as they blast down the start-finish straight here and overtake F. McGeer with no problem at all. And Henry's up to P7. That's probably as far as they're going to go though, because it's 3 minutes between Henry now and Lippi. That's almost 2 full pit stops if Lippi decides to pit. So quite a massive gap, like a whole lap behind. And McGeer continues the attack as they try to get their position back. But Henry is seemingly great in the straight lines, but F. McGeer has potentially got the edge in the corners here. It's just a question of trying to find the right moment to pounce. So Tollen did a 348.441 on the last lap. Uratilla on the SH compound as well did a 345. Heitinen did a 335, so there seems to be a significant advantage in pace on the LS compound, as denoted in the briefing notes, but there's still 2 minutes of gap between Uttila and Tolonen, and Heittenen's got to close another 8 seconds between himself and Uttila to get into the P2 spot. De Geus now putting some pressure on Henry as they come out of the final corner. And the Bugatti trying to overtake. Actually, no, Bugatti's into the pit lane, and as is Henry. And that leaves Megeus out there unchallenged as they enter the first of the banked corners. So Tolonen is... Well, the live timing screen says they haven't done a full pit stop, but I know that they have. I don't know if they just put fuel in and didn't change tyre compound, but... It's been wrong before, so hard to trust it. Henry is just been overtaken by Kusler, who's overtaken Henry in the pits. Uttila now 4 seconds ahead of Heitenen. Heitenen definitely closing this deficit quite quickly. That was about 8 or 9 seconds a few moments ago. So Uttila's definitely struggling here on the tyre compound. 3:47.8 on the last lap to Heitenen's 3:36. So quite a significant delta there. Just a mere 2 seconds to go now till Heitenen's going to be right on top of Uttila. And I think we might see a change of running order now, because Tolonen's come into the pit lane. And this might be where we see a change in compound coming in. But Uttila is mere 20 seconds away from taking the race lead here. And Heitenen is closing in quickly, so Uttila's lead of this race may be very, very shortly lived, and Heitenen might actually be depriving them of that even now as they come blasting through. And it's Heitenen in P2. Tolonen is just leaving the pit lane on the LS compound. So Heitenen is now leading the race on the LS compound. Tolonen's coming out on the LS compound as well. That leaves Uttila on the SH compound, and that might mean in the next 6 laps Uttila is going to be either pitting for new compound or at risk of Tolonen overtaking them. Quite a significant difference in performance on the different tyres in the wet. So Tolonen, despite having just pitted moments ago, is still only 9 seconds behind Uttila. They're on fresh compound better suited to the racing conditions that we're seeing here with the rain. And it's Uttila's game to play right now. Will they be coming in for a pit stop, or will they try and push this to the end of the race? Tolnin 6 seconds behind Uatila now. So we should see another overtake opportunity coming within the next lap or two. And that will put Tolnin back onto the second spot. If they can then catch up with Heitinen, Tolnin's got a really good chance here of winning this race. Coming into the closing few laps of the race now, just 5 more laps to go. And who finishes on the top spot of this race is anyone's guess at this point. 3.5 seconds between Uatila and Tolnin. Ooh, there's another car off the track. That looks like Emperera. And they are attempting to rejoin, but struggling a little bit with traffic at the moment, it would seem. But here comes Uatila, 2.4 seconds ahead of Tolnin at this point in the race. Uatila's decided not to pit. They're going to carry on, I think, on the compound of choice. Tolnin now only 0.4, 0.3. Massive overspeed for Tolnin here as they come flying past Uatila. No hope for Uatila there with that delta in speed. And Tolnin's now up to P2 in the race with 13 seconds to go to the leader. Looks like Uatila's going toe-to-toe with the back marker there as well. So 13 seconds separating Tolnin from the top spot of this race. Last lap for Heitinen was a 3:37.027 to Tolnin's 3:37.330. Well, 3:37.337. So looks like Heitinen's got a little bit of a breathing room here with lap time, about 3/10 quicker on the last lap. And Heitinen's overall best lap of the race is the 3:27.95. Of course, that was into dry conditions on the SH compound. Uatila actually still holds the lap record with a 3:20.588. But right now, they're struggling very much so on the SH compound. Marcus Peltonen, who's in 4th place and behind Uatila, is also on the SH compound. So they may be in an equal kind of predicament to Uatila. And that might mean that Uatila's safe from an overtake from Peltonen. But right now it's a question of can Tolnin close this gap to Heitinen before the end of the race. Four and a half laps to go. Darling and Pereira there just trading places as Darling breaks through to P13. The rain certainly impacting people's lap times here. It seems to be adding on approximately almost 18 seconds in terms of lap time. 17 to 18 seconds. Heitinen though continuing to lead the race with a 13-second gap to Tolnen. And looks like Darling was off the track there. They're attempting to rejoin. Although staying way off the track right now. So, Tolnen has closed in by about 2 seconds to Heitinen. So Heitinen may not be safe from the pressures of Tolnen's advance here. Lap 37 of 40 here at Monza in the rain, and we're watching with bated breath to see whether Tolnen can close in a further 11 seconds in the remaining laps of this race. Henry is currently leading Kusler down the pit lane, and seemingly just managing to keep pace with Kusler. Kusler maybe a little bit slower now. Henry's got a good bit of straight line speed behind them. Very odd sounding car, the number 12. Or like a low hummy drone. But as we approach the final couple of laps here, it's Heitinen, who's just under 11 seconds ahead of Tolnen now, who is the one to watch here. They carry on their current pace. They'll be bringing home the top spot of this race on the top of the podium. Tolnen currently running P2. You can see they've just entered the start of their straight next to the pit lane. Heitinen is just leaving that same piece of road there. Meanwhile, Alazaro in P14 has just wangled their way past Darling. And here comes Heitinen. You can see Tolnen is slowly gaining. It was 10.9 seconds a few moments ago. It's now 10.1, just about to go into 9. So there's a chance that we're going to see a nail-biting finish between Tolnen and Heitinen here. But we're going to have to see whether Tolnen's got what it takes to close this gap. And then once he does get close, they will have a very short period of time to turn this into an overtake before the end of the race. There's always the risk of contact as well, which is a concern at this late stage of a race where you know you'll be able to take home P2 points if you play your cards right, but Every true racing driver will always want to go for that top spot if they can. 8.8 seconds now, so closing actually quite quickly. So 37.2 laps completed, and we have just another kind of 2 and a bit laps to go. Tollinen's 8 seconds behind now, just about to break that down into the 7 point something range. And Heitinen surely at this stage will be feeling the pressure, knowing that there is a very eager Tollinen coming up quickly in a car which is the same speed as Heitinen's. It's just going to be down to driver skill and how much they're willing to push the car in the conditions. So Tollinen still 8 seconds behind. I mean, we don't have a huge amount of time left in this race. It's going to be a question of whether Heitinen makes a mistake potentially more than eating away at that lap time, because I think there just might be a little bit too short a period of time now for Tollinen to make this overtake work. But they're certainly going to keep pushing, and you can see them just entering the start-finish line here down by the pit lane much sooner than the last time we saw Heitinen coming through here. I think Heitinen was just exiting the strip of track there, whereas Tollinen this time was well into that area, while Heitinen hadn't even got to the end of the straight yet. So has closed significantly, but only a couple of laps left to go, and that may not be enough time. Everyone else in the race seems to be relatively spread out at this point. Kusler and Henry are the closest by about 3.3 seconds, but everyone else seems to be multiple minutes, if not laps, apart. .2 seconds separating Heitinen from Tollinen. Tollinen breaking this down to almost 5 seconds now, and this is getting to nail-biting stage where there's only a lap or two to go. And Tollinen's getting awfully close. There's a little bit of traffic for Heitinen to contend with here, but they only have one car to get round, so it shouldn't be too bad. You can see in the spray. Ooh, look at that. Was that a Bugatti? Was that Kai? Yeah, that was Kai Severston just pirouetting off the track in the foreground, and that's such a shame to put an end to their race at this stage. Lap 39. A DNF after such a great run. They were having such a great race. But they appear to be out of the running And now it is Heitinen leading under the bridge here with 5 seconds to go between themselves and Tolnen. There's Tolnen just coming under the bridge themselves. So this could get very close, but as I mentioned before, there's only 1 lap to go. 1.5 laps at this stage, so I'll have to see whether Tolnen can do anything about this or whether Heitinen makes a mistake. Not that I'm wishing that mistake to happen, but that's probably the biggest risk at this stage for Heitinen. Like, one small slip is all that it would take. The Tolnen's just overtaking, or attempting to overtake the Vossam. Oh, look at this, Nurmi and Uatilla out of nowhere. Last minute battle between these two on the final lap or so. And Nurmi's alongside Uatilla, both in the Alpha, and looks like Uatilla's going to be losing out a little bit to Nurmi's attack here, as Nurmi has the inside line for the right-hander. And now Uatilla's on the back foot. Look at this, Heitinen 4 seconds ahead of Tolnen now. It's getting so close. There's Tolnen in the background. And Heitinen's about to finish lap 39. And begin lap 40. And here's the last lap. 3 seconds to go now. Just seems like Tolnen's got about a 7 km/h advantage in a straight line over Heitinen, even though they're on the same compound, same car. If that's something to do with some kind of damage or difference in fuel level, but 2.3 seconds to go. Surely the pressure will be getting a little bit much in Heitinen's cockpit right now. It's going to be a question of what can Tolnen do to close this gap before the end of the race. Heitinen is second place in the championship overall, and Tolnen is 13th, so a lot more to lose for Tolnen if they don't finish this race in P1. They've got a lot more to gain than Heitinen does. It's big puddles under the bridge there. .5 seconds to go. About halfway through the last lap now. I have a feeling Tolnen's going to get close, but whether there will be a cigar at the end or not, I don't know. Again, such a shame for Kai Severston to get so close to the end of the race, only to bow out at the last second. And as they come past the pit lane once more, the last time in this race, Tolnen is still 2 seconds behind Heitinen. Track's still 98%, so it hasn't quite managed to get there to the 100% level. 1.2 seconds. 1.1. 1. That's getting close to slipstream territory now. And now Tolonin's absolutely opening the taps here. 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. Is there going to be an overtake at the last second here? He's going to have to take this chance. There's no way you couldn't if you're a true racing driver. You're going to have to give it every opportunity you can. And he's absolutely ploughed past Heitinen in the last corner. And now looks set to take the win here at Monza on an absolute masterstroke overtake on the last lap. He's put a whole second in between himself and Heitinen. I just don't understand how he's managed to get that speed. It must be I was going to say a setup configuration, but it's not as if there's any aerodynamics on these cars to make that big of a difference on a straight line speed. But here it comes. Tolonin over the line. Takes the win here at Monza. And Heitinen has to settle for P2 with Peltonen looking to be set for a third place. What a fantastic race for Tolonin. Absolutely played the strategy fantastically there, considering their starting position, which, if I remind myself, was P6. So, did a great job. I mean, Heitinen started this race in 21, so Heitinen has arguably done a fantastic job themselves, but still, for Tolonin to finish this race in P1 is a fantastic undertaking. Oh, Peltonen grinding up against the exterior of the track as he's now lost a wheel, or a tyre I should say. Comes across the line in third place, essentially on fire. And Nurmi will be coming up in fourth place now. But yeah, Visa Tolonin, what a fantastic drive. Something to be very proud of there. Lippi and Attila there quite close together come to the end of the race, but Attila seemingly losing out a little bit to Lippi. Attila had a bit of an up and down race this time. But here comes Nurmi. Up to the line. And Nurmi grabs P4 as they honk their horn over the line. Lippi coming up in P5 there. And Attila taking 6th place. Hayley Smith doing well as well in the Delage to come home in P7. Although they have 1.1 laps to go, so they had quite a big gap to the Alphas. The Alpha definitely seeming to be the car of choice here for Monza. And Hayley coming up to the line now in the Delage. 4.4 seconds between themselves and F. McGuinness. And that leaves Henry in P9, followed by T. Kusler, who will be coming in P10. Henry over the line, finishes the race. And that just leaves Kusler and Darling to finish now. And there we have it. Monza completed. A little bit of a drizzly finish there for the racers here. But a fantastic finish for Mr. Tolonin. And Ansi Heitinen, I can see you in the chat with me. How was your race today? Yeah, I was just commenting on the stream that Kai Severston bowing out of the race on lap 39 was so unfortunate. But it seemed like you had a bit of a good strategy working for yourself there. Did you pick the LS tyre towards the end of the race because you knew that the drizzle was a real risk of coming in at that point, or was that more of a personal choice around preferring that compound? Yeah, so I noticed on the last lap the speed differential was something like 7 to 8 kilometers an hour in a straight line. What was that coming down to? Is that just simply playing it safe on your part, or was it a difference in setup, or the clutch slipping potentially, like you mentioned? Ah, okay. It's always hard to see from the external perspective if the damage is impacting the car or not, but that explains it then. So, well, fantastic race on your part then. I think you started in P6, I believe, in this one, and managed to come out on second spot in the race despite the pace that some of the other drivers are putting down. Yeah, great race for yourself. But Visa Tolan, I see you're in. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I stand corrected. It was yeah. So yeah, almost a last to first on your part there. So yeah, well done catching up all those positions. But yeah, sorry, I was getting my drivers mixed up there. So Vesa, yeah, fantastic win there for yourself. Were you're glad to see you catching up on the last couple of laps there. Tell me about your tyre strategy. I saw you pushing the car as long as you possibly could on the SH tyre. Were you hoping to switch to the LS tyre before the rain? Well, it certainly played off in the end. So you when you came in originally, you didn't do a tyre change. You just topped up with fuel, and then you switched to the LS tyre towards the end of the race. Then when you came in for your second time. Ah, okay. I was wondering whether you'd switched or decided at that point to gamble and stay on a new set of SHs, but that would make sense as to why you weren't in the pit lane for too long. Yeah. Well, I think you're definitely going to have your hands full, Visa, with the calculating the damage because unlike Stidges, there is a few more, I think, things to calculate this time. I've seen a few drivers in the fence or in each other, so there's definitely going to be a couple of damage repair bills to go through. But it seems like it's been a really good race. There were some really good battles going on, particularly between Kai Sivertsen and Haley Smith at one point, and then Kai Sivertsen and F. McGears. But yeah, a few unfortunate DNFs, I think, and it'd be a shame to see any drivers kind of go bankrupt on the back of this race. But there may be a little bit of financial jeopardy for some drivers at the very least. Well, they came very, very close. They were, I think, lap 39 and a half, and I saw them go pirouetting over a fence in the foreground whilst I was spectating another car. And I immediately knew it was him because it was the only blue Bugatti on the track. So I was like, oh no! After what was such a good race, it was such a shame to see. But yeah. Anyway, fantastic race. Well, thanks for organising as always, Vesa. I'm sure everyone appreciates the hard work that you put into organising the league. And yeah, looking forward to the next race. Where are we off to next time? Ah, very exciting. And will that be a track that favours the Alpha? Ah, okay, well. Very good. Well, I can't wait to be there for the next race, and yeah, looking forward to it already. Brilliant. Okay, well, let's wrap up the interview there. If there's something else to cover, I think been a fantastic race today. I'm really looking forward to the remainder of the championship. There's plenty more races to come, and like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the damage bills. I think there's going to be a couple. Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Fantastic racing today. Congratulations again on your podiums, and looking forward to seeing the new championship standings. I think that's definitely going to give you a boost today, Tolnan, and we'll see where you end up after the calculation of the points. Great. Okay. Well, I wish you a very good rest of the weekend and a good week ahead, and we'll be in touch again soon. Cheers. Okay, guys, that's the end of the stream. Thank you all for being part of the racing today, or being on track or in chat. Always good to see you all here. And once again, I'm Pirate Laserbeam, covering the commentary here for classic vintage races, and looking forward to seeing you next month at the next race when we head over to Germany for the next series race. And apart from that, have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll catch you all again.